Votan Waden ap Arielsmont, 652 Pa. With Captain Traeger's declaration that he would grant martial titles and territory to freemen who would oppose the Thanadun invaders, the heroes of the land were quick to flock to the fight. Masika Amunet, Hans Bauer, the Calico, Kissa, Master Vincentius Marcus Atretus, Rees, Ambiorix, Lachlan Galbraith, Mean Sock Jr., Ronan Ganias, Callan Verassi, and Master Arendane Undrigan move out into the countryside accompanying Traeger's wagons to retrieve much-needed grain. They encounter a group of Thanadun attempting to destroy the grain before it can be gathered, but give them a sound thrashing and move off with the grain. Each is granted a fief as a march, per Traeger's promise.
Arendane Undrigan received Kirill as well as having his ownership of Messaix approved. Callan Verassi received Benmore and shortly after marched on the gates of Verassis with a storm of boots in tow. Upon seeing the large procession of warriors at their gates and learning of their intentions, the people of Verassis threw down their arms and surrendered. The approval of Captain Traeger is awaited but expected. Ronan Nias received Ildris. Mean Shock Jr. took claim of Harrowfan. Lachlan Galbraith is undecided since his home of Enthalder is in the hostile hands of Gizaru the Grey. Ambiorix received Hobben Hills. Rees received Lochbear. Vincentius Marcus Atretus received Haranda. Kissa received Taransmaya. The Calico is undecided. Hans Bauer the Handsome received Susfard. And finally, Masika Amunet received Sinholm.
Traeger sends word to the new marshals that, in absence of a proper Witan and in order to help begin restoring order, he shall form a conclave of marshals to act as a protom-Witan until such a time as a proper king is crowned and a rightful Witan formed. Following this, Callan Verassi and Master Arendane Undrigan march on Verassis. They offer the people of the fief the chance to peacefully capitulate and they accept, making Callan their de facto ruler. He immediately petitions the conclave to be recognized as marshal of this territory as well. Elsewhere in Prythonia, Traeger officially refutes any claim to Enthalder held by Gizaru the Grey, as he has claimed the territory in the name of Galicia. Traeger declares him an enemy of the kingdom of Prythonia and names the reclamation of Enthalder to be an errand of knighthood.
Certainly a worthy reward given the difficulty of a frontal assault on the cauldron. Many lives have been lost scrambling down the steep hills surrounding this fortress. Defenders have been known to blacken the sky with arrows while advancing armies slowly and painfully shuffle their way down the cliffs.
A famine strikes Eritare, wiping out what remains of their food stores. The refined demon-hide merchant remains in billet,
selling his wares at an unspeakable price no doubt, but the benefits when forged to a piece of armor are enough to make even the stingiest merchants salivate. When bound, the demon-hide renders the piece of armor unbreakable and its wearer immune to fire.
The famine clears in Bloodbite Pass, though food stores remain dangerously low. The Society of Philosophers and the Royalists in Silao continue to squabble over the proper means of government, though this remains peaceful for the time being. The plague of redpox continues to worsen in Copper Downs, costing the locals a great many lives. Thus far, it remains contained as the neighboring fiefs shut their borders to the folk of Copper Downs.
This marks the 5th week in a row that Copper Downs has been fighting against the redpox. It's safe to say that nearly half a season of plague hasn't done anything good for the population or happiness level of the normally thriving town.
The drought in Dunlanden continues. The folk of Asenmark continue to work to repair the damage done to their town by the tornadoes earlier this season. Smugglers continue emptying Essenweald of its riches. The secessionist movement in Eswich continues to build steam. The provisions merchant departs Farn. Marul and Noogle continue to prowl the shores near Fenwick, but make no more forays into the settlement itself at this time. The refined witchstone merchant remains in Gaelsich. A local craftsman at Gaelsich has created a witchstone talisman. He offers it at auction with a starting price of 150 silver.
An item of this capability surely won't last long at auction. Whenever its holder gains power, they also gain a bonus +1 power. Any hero dabbling in power-based abilities just might want to attend the auction.
A Korgon envoy arrives at Greenholm and sets up a moot, welcoming the local Lankies to join them for trade and fellowship.
Which provides an interesting chance for Ambriox, the new Shire Eve of Hobben Hills, to meet her forest-dwelling neighbors.
Both the Trombone merchant and the Dwarven envoy remain at Harad's Weald. The folk of Harander have run short of supplies to continue the repairs of their city and are forced to simply live within the devastation wrought by the tornadoes. The smugglers at Harrowfen have managed to completely empty the town of any riches, and have almost done the same with its stores of grain. The gnomes remain at Histelholm. A plague of ratworts breaks out in Kellerville. The Traubel merchant remains in Capello. Captain Traeger organizes a market day in the city, bringing considerable wealth to those residing here. The divine blessing of St. Marganus is received by the city of Margander. Bandits raid into Nyborder as its people suffer through the red pox. They empty the city's grain stores and make off with much of its wealth. Unopposed, they set up camp near the city and plan for future raids,
which presents an interesting opportunity to garner favor with the good people of Nyborder. How hard should a bunch of filthy bandits be to dispatch?
The legendary hero, Mercian Ranger, remains in Port Bex. The Histalian envoy departs Port Manon. The Papalist movement continues to gather support in Salamber. The Wosis depart Cher das Weald. A sect arises in Stonesville calling themselves Millicans. They begin sending missives to the Sorrentine papacy, demanding that Derek Miller be granted sainthood. The Cathmorian envoy remains at Wieldsuch.
And that's about it for news this week in Britannula. Goodbye, and may whatever deity you worship bless your travels.